Well, I'm back here with my lovely Tomboy Senior, and over the last few weeks I've had some absolute great fun flying this plane. It is a joy to fly, particularly as it's powered by this lovely 1.3 diesel engine at Mills from the 1950s, and you can see it running here. And it's an absolute joy to be able to fly a vintage plane with such an iconic engine. But I've got to the point now where I feel like I just need a little bit more power. Where I fly, it's often a little bit windy, and you launch this into a headwind and it just struggles a little bit sometimes, and it starts to rock backwards and forwards as it's fighting that headwind to get free. And I think if I'm not careful, it's going to come down and do some damage. So I think it's time to change the engine and put in something with just a little bit more power. And I'm still going to go with the diesel, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out this lovely Mills, and to be honest, it's a real shame for me to take this out because I just feel they fit so nice together. But because of that need for a little bit more power, I'm going to be putting in a DC Sabre, which is a 1.5cc diesel engine that was produced in around, well, this version is from the early 1970s. And I'm hoping that this will give me just that little bit more power to get a little bit more altitude safely, so that we can then break out into those glorious glides. So anyway, I'm going to take this out and we'll have a look at what it looks like once we've got this engine in. I'm going to need to bring the engine bearers closer together because the mounting lugs on this Mills are quite wide. So I'm going to need to just epoxy a little bit of timber on the inside of those lugs so that this DC Sabre fits nicely. And here's a quick comparison of the two engines together, and you can see the Sabre has got an integral fuel tank on the back, which I made myself. If you have a look in the description below this video, you'll find a link to how I made that. Right, well, you can see I've almost got this done now. I've got a couple of pieces of 2.5mm plywood on the inside edges of the engine bearer just to close that gap down to what's needed for the DC Sabre. I've fuel proofed it. I've also filled the original holes with epoxy, hopefully just to give a little bit more strength there where those old holes were. I've drilled the new holes, and you can see there's a little bit of an offset. Originally and specified on the plans, I had 2 degrees of right thrust. That wasn't quite enough, it just needed a little bit more, and so I've added now 2.5 degrees of thrust, just a tad more, and that will hopefully be a lot better. So you can see that fits in there nicely. I've had to put in a little bit of a slot here so that I can get the needle valve in, and that will adjust nicely. I won't put this in and show you because that's still a little bit sticky where I've fuel proofed it. But once that's gone off, once that's cured, I'll get this engine fitted. Right, well, I've now got this finished. I've got the new DC Sabre fitted in the front, and as you can see, it looks really good. And I think being just a slightly bigger engine, more modern, it's going to give me that power, just that little bit of extra power that I need. I don't want to go mad, I don't want huge amounts of power, just need to be able to get a little bit of height, a little bit safer, as I said earlier. Now, the engine weighs exactly the same as the Mills 1.3, so there was no CG issues to deal with, although I did check the CG and it's come in spot on, which is great. So all we're waiting for now is a nice calm day to get out there and see what this performs like. Well, we didn't have to wait long for that nice calm day, and off to the airfield, took it out for a fly, but things didn't go quite as planned. Take a quick look at this bit of video and then I'll tell you why. Well, as you can see, it flew lovely. That little bit of extra power, I feel, made all the difference. But the problem was the tank that I'd put on, the integral tank on the back of the engine, just wasn't big enough. It was giving me just over about a minute of flight. So what I've decided to do is, or what I've done is, I've made a slightly bigger tank, and I'll show you. I'll move the camera around and show you what I've done. Well, as you can see, I've attached a separate tank now to the back of the firewall, and I've just attached that with a little metal strap I made out of a piece of tin, and there's a piece of aluminium just on the underside there, a little bit of angle that is just supporting the back of the tank to stop it from sliding down. Now, I made the tank from just one of these dropper bottles. It's like the kind of eye drop type bottles, and you can buy these various sizes on the internet really cheaply. I picked these up on eBay. So I've taken the tank off the back of the DC Sabre. Now, this is quite a large tank now compared to what I had on the back of the DC Sabre. I think this is, if I remember rightly, it's about 25-30 mil, which is quite a big tank. I don't need to fill it, and it will give me more running time on the ground to make sure the engine's warmed up and the compression's right. So hopefully that will be a better solution. I've got a hole here where I can just put a feed pipe in, and hopefully, I mean, it's a big tank, it's got quite a draw from top to bottom. Hopefully it won't be richer at the top and leaner at the bottom. Only time will tell. So what I'm going to do now is I'll get the engine in, and we'll get off to the airfield and see how it runs, how long we can get with this tank fitted. Coming in for a land. Well, as you saw from that, this flew lovely. The engine, little bit more power, just made it sail away that much better. And this larger tank is now giving me over 5 minutes of run time, which is absolutely great because I can run it on the ground, get it up to temperature, get the compression just right, so I'm happy with how the engine's running when I launch it. I'm not in a rush, I'm not trying to fill a smaller tank just before I let it go. So it just makes the whole flying of this plane a lot easier, and as I say, more relaxed. And if you don't want the extended running time from this bigger tank, you just don't fill it up as full. I didn't notice any appreciable change in it leaning out or being richer at the start from having such a deep tank, which I thought I might do. Maybe that's a symptom of having good compression, good draw, you know, on this engine because it's in good condition. I don't know, but I am really pleased with this setup now. Like I say, a little bit more powerful engine just allows it to pull away a little bit better and get going. And that tank is fantastic. Really, really pleased. And I can't wait to get back out to the airfield and fly this. this is more or less all I'm flying at the moment, and it's cracking fun. So anyway, I hope you found this video useful. Thanks very much for watching.